Hello and welcome to Technology Update. On today's show, nano-Trojan horses breach cancer's defences. I become the cool kid in the class. And we take the Shaman out for a spin. But first, the rapid uptake of powerful tablets and smartphones means that the line between virtual and reality is becoming even more blurred. Update. Summer's come early this year in Moscow, and there are few better places to enjoy the sun than in the capital's famous Gorky Park. For those more appropriately dressed for the weather than me, it's the perfect place to play games, read a good book, or just kick back and relax. And anyone with a smartphone or tablet, which let's face it is most people these days, can take a stroll down memory lane and see the park as it was last century. The Historama mobile app lets visitors dive into the past by scanning any of the 5 markers dotted around the park, turning iOS and Android devices into mobile portals into the past. The markers in the park tell the app the user's location. It then shows a historic panorama of images taken from that spot decades ago, resurrecting ghostly figures from the past and turning back the hands of time on some of today's visitors. Well, maybe not quite. The company behind the blast from the past is Play Display. Here in their central Moscow office, the 3-year-old firm is riding the augmented reality wave. Originally a military technology, AR has filtered its way down to the man in the park with the appearance of powerful pocket processors. It adds layers of digital data on top of items in the world around us, and the possibilities range from visualizing future building complexes to more immersive gaming experiences. Design is at the forefront of the company's philosophy, and this is perhaps most evident in their markers. These are the images detected by the camera and on top of which virtual overlays are placed. Complex algorithms mean that pretty much anything can be used as a marker, a far cry from the unsightly black and white barcodes used not so long ago.
Our main goal is to display information while having fun, hence our name, Play Display. So our presentations, installations and other solutions are all very vivid, attractive and amusing. Our technologies can be used anywhere where you need to create a powerful and lasting impression on your target audience.
Play Display's portfolio doesn't need any augmenting. One of the company's most successful projects lets exhibition visitors explore airports dotted around the country without having to fly there. The company also uses AR tech to bring children's drawings and textbooks to life. Play Display has offices in St. Petersburg, Kazakhstan, the UAE and Spain, with more popping up all the time. The company's experience in branding, printed and interactive design and 3D graphics has led to partnerships with the likes of Samsung, Coca-Cola and Renault. With hundreds of projects already under its belt, Play Display has its sights firmly set on the future.
In the near future, we're planning to open offices in the US. We have a startup that we're taking over there. At the moment, we have a new project that's already in the prototype stage. We're developing the world's first museum of augmented reality, according to our understanding of the idea. It will be an empty space with symbols on the walls. Each visitor will be able to see the museum's exhibits using virtual reality devices, or more specifically, with the help of augmented reality glasses.
And if AR glasses were to become part of everyday life, this is how we think the world might look. Smartphones and tablets are only going to get more powerful, opening up the way for even more seamless augmented reality experiences, potentially revolutionizing the way we work, rest and play. So if you ever find that reality isn't quite exciting enough, why not augment it? Cancer is one of the biggest killers around, and with the world's population both growing and aging, rates are set to soar. So we wanted to find out about a promising new technology that might help tip the balance.
What's up in the lab?
Genes are the coded messages that tell cells how to behave. Mutations in certain genes can cause them to divide uncontrollably, turning healthy cells into cancerous ones. and new ways of treating cancer can never come soon enough. Set up in Moscow in 1951, the Nikolai Blakhin Cancer Research Center is the largest such medical institution in Europe and second in the world. The center employs around 4,500 people and has over 1,200 beds for patients. It also conducts leading-edge experimental research in diagnosing, treating, and preventing all types of malignant tumors and systematic diseases, of which there are over 200.
There are only a few treatment methods. You can count them on one hand. Firstly, there's surgical removal of the tumor. Secondly, there's radiotherapy, that is, without removing the tumor, or radiotherapy after the removal of the tumor. And thirdly, there's systemic treatment, or chemotherapy.
In addition to the staple 3 approaches, different techniques are also being tried out. Biological therapies use vaccines or bacteria to encourage the body's immune system to fight cancer cells and reduce the side effects of more aggressive treatments. Tests have also been conducted using nanofiber tubes to draw tumors away from inoperable areas, potentially opening up new treatment opportunities. And the first concrete evidence of cancer stem cells might provide a way of destroying cancer at the root.
Molecular biology has given us an understanding of the specific genes and their derivative proteins that play a vital role in the formation of tumor cells, actually making a cell malignant and therefore different from a regular cell. Once we know these genes and understand how their proteins work, we can start developing targeted medicines for them.
Bind Rus was set up between Bind Therapeutics from Massachusetts and Rus Nano in 2011, with the Russian side investing $47.25 million. Bind Rus recently opened an R&D center at the Slava Technopark in Moscow. The focus of the company's activities will be perfecting its new targeted cancer treatment.
Our company's scientists are working on several in-house projects aimed at developing the next generation of the innovative drug group we call Accurins. These are targeted, programmable cancer drugs for the treatment of various types of cancer.
Accurins are like 100 nanometer Trojan horses. They consist of a therapeutic payload in a protective biocompatible polymer shell, which both controls the release of the medicine and protects it from the body's immune system. Once injected, the Accurins course through the bloodstream until they reach their target. Their size means that they can exploit the gap between the cells in the tumor's blood vessels, which is larger when compared to healthy vessels. Special ligand molecules covering the surface of the Accurin bind to the cancer cells and penetrate through the cell wall. Once inside, the toxic payload is released, destroying the cell from within. Producing the Accurins is relatively simple. The polyethylene glycol used to form the outer shell is dissolved in the medication. Accurins can be used to transport various medical payloads, but the company's most promising Accurin is Bind 14, which uses the tried and tested anti-tumor drug docetaxel. The polymer layer automatically self-assembles into nano-shells around the drug. But what makes Bind 14 really stand out from other nanomedications are the ligands on the surface. These molecules actively target the proteins found on certain cancer cells and new blood vessels in tumors. This combination of active and passive targeting means that the toxicity of medication can be increased while reducing the risk to surrounding healthy tissues, potentially lessening some of the serious side effects associated with other types of chemotherapy. Once the particles have been produced, the 100 nanometer Accurins are separated from the rest of the mixture. This is the optimum size for distribution within the body and penetration of the tumor, but effectiveness isn't the only consideration.
The technology behind any new drug needs to be scalable. You must be able to produce grams or even kilograms of the drug just as well as you can produce it in milligrams. What makes the bind technology so efficient is the fact that it is so easily scalable.
If the Accurins are too small, they would be filtered out by the kidney, too large, and they may not breach the tumour. So the solution is scanned to ensure they're within the 100 nanometer range and also to check the rate the medication is released. Preclinical studies have shown that BIND14 significantly increases the concentration of docetaxel in tumours, boosting anti-tumour activity with no increase in toxicity. BIND14 is now undergoing stage 2 clinical trials in the US and Russia. This will determine the optimum dosage and assess its effectiveness against specific types of cancer. Targeted therapies represent the future of cancer treatment. The high effectiveness of BIND14, along with its ability to be mass-produced, means that we may soon have another weapon in the fight against cancer. That's just the end of the first half. Join us for more technology updates after the break.
Does the media lead us or we lead the media? Privacy versus security. All right, your party, where's it going? The questions that no one is asking with the guests that you deserve answers from. It's all on politicking, only on RT.
Right from the scene. First-rate news and eye-gripping pictures. On our reporters' Twitter and Instagram. To be in the know, follow us online.
This is still one of the most isolated and mysterious places in the world. Old legends of cannibals make many people afraid to travel here.
Are they going to put us on the menu there?
Europeans have been here for less than 100 years. Few people know what secrets lay hidden within these forbidding mountains.
They said a bunch of cannibals killed and ate a group of shamans.
A Russian plane, one of the biggest in the world, flies over Papua New Guinea's wild mountains for the very first time. Villagers have never even seen a car. What will they make of this huge steel bird? European workers are told never to venture out alone. Papua, truths and myths on RT.
When we think of Hawaii, we think of paradise. Coral sand beaches, coconut palms gently swaying in the ocean breeze. In fact, Hawaii has a deep, dark little secret, a secret the U.S. government wouldn't like you to know about.
They took our language, they took our land, they took our identity, nearly succeeded in taking our will to live.
Is that the land?
We are not talking the language of war, but I will only react to situations.
I have read the reports, but I'm not in a position to...
No, I will leave that to the State Department to comment on your latter point.
I don't want to say that.
Mr. Kerry, do you have any comments on the document? No. No comment? Thank you.
No more weasel words. When you evade a direct question, be prepared for a chase. When you throw a punch, be ready for a battle.
Freedom of speech means little without the freedom to question.
My name's Daniel Bush.
Tom Urban in Washington, D.C.
Thinking new policies.
Consider I'm Peter LaBelle. Pleasure to have you with us here on RT today. I'm Rory Susham.
Welcome back. Before we see what other technologies are being updated, let's take a quick look back at this month's tech news.
News Bites.
The official opening of Eastern Europe's largest vaccine development and production facility was held last month. Russian biotechnology company Fort invested 4.8 billion rubles in the complex, which will employ about 1,000 people when it reaches full production capacity next year. A team of researchers led by Dr. Mark Vogelsberger of MIT has created the most detailed simulation of the evolution of the universe ever made. All the main cosmology theories were plugged into the program, including Russian scientist Starobinsky's contributions to inflation theory, which revolutionized the way we understood the formation and structure of space. The model then rendered a universe strikingly similar to the real one, supporting, among others, the theory that dark matter is what holds the cosmos together. Robots from all over the world have come to strut their stuff at the Robot Ball exhibition in Moscow. During the event, which lasts until the 15th of June, robots will be showing off their dance moves, reciting poetry, as well as serenading guests and painting portraits. As well as entertaining visitors, some of the greatest minds in robotics will put their heads together during the Robo Forum, and guests will be able to pick out their perfect android companion at the Robo Market. From reeds and quills to the plastic sticks we keep in our pockets, the humble pen has changed considerably over the centuries, and we might just be about to witness the next stage in its evolution.
Second wind.
Drawing isn't exactly one of my strengths, but this time in my weekly drawing lesson I was determined not to be outdone by my much younger classmates. So I decided to show off my brand new 3D printing pen, complete with snazzy safety specs. The theory being that technology would compensate for my lack of artistic ability. DI Group in Tomsk was kind enough to lend me their Art Loom 3D pen prototype, which is a spin-off from their fast 3D copier printer. The technology behind both devices is unlike anything else on the market. Art Loom uses a polymer ink instead of ABS or PLA plastics. Developed in their own lab, it currently comes in 20 colours and doesn't require the heating elements used in other 3D pens, making it safer for everyone.
Our polymer is made from a special substance that solidifies when subjected to ultraviolet light. We conducted many tests to develop the right composition. It combines a low flow rate because it's very important to make the substance viscous enough so that it doesn't just leak out, and at the same time make it possible to develop polymers with different characteristics. For example, a polymer with elastic properties, which is impossible to make from common melted plastic because after it solidifies, it simply becomes plastic again.
We set up a little test to see how Art Loom would hold up against some of the competition. We asked RT designer Sasha to put the production version of the Tomsk pen through its paces. Maxim, who is also an RT designer, was put in charge of the world's first 3D pen, the American 3Doodler. Finally, we invited Anya from Smirnov Design to try out the Chinese Yaya 3D, which is based on the same plastic extrusion principle as its American cousin.
My artistic goal is to draw a fish for my kid, because this thing has obviously been created with children in mind.
Once each design stage is complete, we make a model. We often use a 3D printer to create a prototype. So let's see if we can use this pen to do the same.
It's definitely mainly for kids.
I guess even adults may find it interesting, once they get the hang of it.
Well, it's interesting, yeah, but I doubt Anya will find any practical uses for it.
I reckon you could use it around the house.
For interior design, for making toy figures.
You could make ornaments.
Like some sort of vase.
Or fashion accessories, like a brooch.
I've come to the conclusion that you need to draw a frame first and then attach everything else to it. It doesn't work any other way for me without practicing at least.
I have prepared sections for my future wire separator. Now I'm trying to put them together to make it three-dimensional.
I've made a human-like toy man, but he won't stand up by himself, so I'm trying to make him stand.
Draw him a base.
Maybe a stool.
There's definitely a meditative quality about this.
My head's falling off mine now. And now my pen won't work.
That one kept breaking for me too last time.
It gets overheated.
Is yours easier to use than the Chinese one?
Well,
The light is too hard on the eyes.
I've got used to that, but it's not as rubbery as yours, you see. You seem to be doing really well, while I haven't really got the knack of it yet. So this is what I've made. A really weird-looking fish whale thing, but I've done it. I might hang it on the wall.
And I created quite a shapeless thing. This isn't exactly what I had in mind. Not like a proper-looking prototype, but it more or less works.
Max has finally made a stand for his.
I still need to make his head, though. This hobby would definitely be exciting for children and their parents. It's something that they could do together. But it does require some skills.
If I was a 5-year-old, I would be jumping with joy and asking my parents to buy me all the colors.
It's quite fascinating. I wanted to create something that could be produced by a 3D printer, but it's not very accurate. I believe this pen has a lot of potential, provided some improvements are made.
Sometimes it gets stuck, so you end up breaking some parts off and making them over again.
The one that has the light uses some kind of liquid, a little bit like ink. The other one, that shoots out a sort of plastic, is much more difficult to use. At least that was my experience, I think.
I like the Chinese one with the plastic because it has a fairly even flow. And it sets properly.
It's the 21st century plasticine.
Art Loom proved to be a massive hit among my classmates, with everyone wanting to swap their pencils for the 3D pen. And before long, they were busy bringing their ideas to life in polymer ink. So maybe soon, instead of sticking 2D drawings on the fridge, parents will be putting 3D masterpieces on the mantelpiece. At the risk of stating the obvious, Russia's pretty big. The country's extensive web of roads, railways and airways do a good job of making many areas accessible, but for all the places where planes, trains and cars just can't reach, you're going to need a special type of vehicle.
Brains over brawn.
Russia's terrain is as diverse as it is far-reaching. From the humid subtropics in the south, coniferous taiga and barren Arctic tundra in the north, to the never-ending grassy steppe in the east. Anyone looking to take on Russia's sprawling expanse and come back to tell the tale is going to need a vehicle they can depend on. The Shaman is a Sniegobolotоход, or snow and swamp going vehicle, and its 8 wheels can tackle pretty much anything the Russian landscape throws at it. The Shaman's low-pressure tyres can be optimised on the go at the flick of a switch inside the cabin, pumping air in or out to make sure it skims over mud instead of sinking into it. The ATV's superior off-road capabilities have drawn interest from oil and gas companies, geologists, extreme sports enthusiasts, and one tech-up presenter who just happens to be in the market for a new car. Avtoros is the company behind the Shaman, and their factory in Tver has produced 10 of the Mystic machines so far. With over 7 years of experience making off-road vehicles with ultra-low pressure tyres, the company firmly believes that wheels are better and greener than tracks.
For years now, people thought that all-terrain vehicles must have tracks, and this was actually true. But later, it turned out that tracked ATVs actually cause irreparable damage to the environment. It takes at least 100 years before the marks left by tracks in the tundra disappear. Our vehicle doesn't cause this damage to the environment.
For such a hulk of a vehicle, the 4-ton Shaman can really move when it has to. From a 2 km/h crawl, the ATV can reach speeds of up to 74 km an hour. The road-legal 8-wheeler is over 6 meters long, just under 3 meters high, and 2.5 meters wide. It has a wheelbase of almost 2 meters and a clearance of 45 centimeters. And the Shaman can carry up to 1.5 tons of cargo. A 146 horsepower diesel engine is at the heart of the machine, which is fed by a 260-litre fuel tank, giving it an operational range of about 1,300 kilometres. The Shaman can scale inclines of up to 45 degrees thanks to its low centre of gravity and custom-designed low-pressure tyres. From when the first welding sparks fly to final testing, it currently takes Avtoros around 2 months to manufacture a Shaman. Although the company is working on shortening the production time, the individual approach to each vehicle means it can be heavily customised. The chassis, or hull, is completely sealed and provides enough buoyancy for the vehicle to ford bodies of water. There's even an optional propeller propulsion system. Future models include a cargo-carrying pickup with caravan module for long expeditions. No matter which one you choose, each of the 8 wheels is fitted with a reduction gear, easing the load on the gearbox and improving reliability. Inside, the cabin is more akin to a captain's bridge than a driver's seat, giving the so-called pilot a commanding view of the surrounding terrain.
Our ATV is equipped with, and I have no reservations about using this word, a unique steering system, which, when given the command, the control system switches the driving mode to provide for the best performance for on-road and for off-road conditions.
The Shaman's 4 chassis give the vehicle 3 steering modes. For cruising along the motorway, the rear wheels remain fixed while the front 4 lead the way. In sticky situations where a tighter turning circle is required, the ATV can switch to active rear wheel steering. And when the road ahead is completely blocked, all 8 wheels can be turned in sync, propelling the Shaman sideways.
Now, before we finish the show, I just wanted to show you my new car. It sent me back 100,000 euros. And although I can't exactly take it for a spin about town, I just couldn't resist. So let's get inside, get warm, and take it for a spin. This is by far the biggest car I've ever driven. My biggest financial investment, but definitely the best. But I tell you what, there's no way I'm going to parallel park this at the car park anytime soon. For such a huge machine, it's pretty easy to drive. Steering is quite light, gear change is quite smooth. And if you put the foot to the floor, it definitely gets going. These bumps are pretty big, but with the suspension and the low pressure wheels, you really don't feel them as much as you should do. And there's no better way I can think of spending a Sunday afternoon than taking this for a spin down the field.
Driving the Shaman was just as fun as I thought it would be, even if I wasn't making the most of its off-road abilities on this spacious, freshly mown meadow. Facing forwards and heading off to the side in crab steering mode was pretty peculiar, but I'm sure it'll come in useful switching lanes in Moscow's thick traffic. Unfortunately though, all good things must come to an end, and it was time to pack up our gear and go. So I handed the keys to my driver and asked him to put it in the garage until next time.
The tires are the things on your car that make contact with the road. The car is the thing on the road that takes you back to your abode.
I'm afraid that's all from me and the rest of the team until next month. But if you can't go that long without watching Tech Up, feel free to check out any of the 73 previous shows on the RT website. We'll also be posting updates on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter and Instagram. So until next time, enjoy the ride.